Welcome to Links and Locks, Action Network's golf betting podcast presented by Bet365. I'm your host, Andy Lack, and I'll be joined alongside Action Golf contributor Tony Sartori for these Best Bets episodes. Tony and I will play 18 holes today, giving our 18 favorite picks for this week's tour event, the Memorial Tournament. Before we dive into this week's episode, a reminder that the Links and Locks podcast is presented by Bet365. Bet365 doesn't do ordinary. That's why you get more boosts with them than with anyone else. Every day they power up the odds on hundreds of bets to give you a chance to win more. Bet365 boosts specific markets, your winnings, and even parlays, and they don't stop there. Keep an eye out for the biggest and best odds with the incredible Super Boost. Check out the boosts and see why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 or older and present in Arizona, Colorado, Indiana, Iowa, Louisiana, North Carolina, New Jersey, Ohio, Virginia, or 18 and older in Kentucky. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or 1-800-BETS-OFF in Iowa. Terms, conditions, and restrictions apply. Okay, Tony, we're on the first tee here for our Memorial Best Bets. Get us started.
All right. I promise I'm not purposely trying to do this. We've been doing this podcast for a few months now. I've only picked that shortest favorite 3 times, just happens to be in 3 straight weeks. But once again, going after the chalk, and that's Scottie Scheffler at plus 390 at Bet365. The guy has finished either first or second in 6 of his past 8 tournaments. We are witnessing the closest replication to Prime Tiger since it occurred. The most impressive part of this stretch is that there's not really a single flaw in his bag right now, including that putter that's been kind of notorious to be on or off for him. Over those aforementioned 7 tournaments, Scheffler has gained true strokes putting, around the green, on the approach, off the tee, killing it in every single aspect of the game. That success is likely to continue at Muirfield. He finished 3rd here last year, and he lost nearly 2 strokes on the greens. His putting game is miles ahead of where it was at this point last year, and he still finished 3rd. So if that part of his game is picked up, then I think he absolutely can take down this field and get his 5th tournament over an 5th win over an 8 tournament stretch. Again, plus 390, obviously not an appealing number by any means, but when you have 3 guys that are below 9-1 in this tournament, he, in my mind, is just better than the other 2. And lame pick, but that's where I'm going to go before I get more adventurous with my next couple of outright winners.
Oof, expensive habit, man. I'm gonna go a little more adventurous here with Benny on 45-1 enhanced on Bet365. I've been a huge believer in Benny ever since I watched him up close in a practice round at the Masters. I just love his high ball flight. I think that the way that he hits the ball, the way that he drives the ball, the height that he has with his long iron should play incredibly well on these long and difficult golf courses with small, firm greens. We saw him play well already this year at Augusta. We've seen him finish losing a playoff at the Memorial before. He's played well at this golf course in the past. And I just think he's close. I mean, the field is a little bit tougher than I maybe envisioned for the spot that Benny wins. But in terms of the best possible golf course for Benny, it's going to be a golf course where total driving, long iron play, and short game matter, and putting is devalued. And that is Muirfield Village to a T. So I just think that this is a perfect spot, a perfect golf course for Benny on. And I rolled with him as my first outright 45-1.
I love it. Big fan of Benny on. I'm going to stick right around that same number. I'm going to go after Russell Henley, who's 50-1 at Bet365. He's my favorite non-Scotty target of the week. He's quietly been one of the best golfers on tour over the past 2 years. He's made the weekend in 29 of his past 35 tournaments, with 19 top 20 finishes over that stretch, including a win at the Worldwide Technology Championship. That success is likely to continue at Muirfield. It's a venue. Henley has made the weekend in 5 of his 8 career appearances here, and 2 of those made cuts results in top 7 finishes. It makes sense that he's thrived at this Jack Nicklaus design, considering that Muirfield rewards scrambling more than any other aspect of the game. Last year, 5 of the top 6 finishers here ranked 7th or higher among the field in scrambling percentage. That is the only stat or metric in which such like a clear-cut trend occurred. And then finally, building off that, Henley ranks 14th on tour this season in scrambling percentage. So it's a difficult course, Muirfield for sure, but you can scramble your way kind of to get a good number on the board, and as what I think is a good route to victory for Henley, especially at the price of 50-1.
Yeah, I love that play so much. I am on him as well, albeit a top 10. I bet the top 10 at plus 350. I don't know if I have as much confidence in you for him to close out a golf tournament, but for all of the reasons that you mentioned in terms of his course fit, I think it's a wonderful spot for him. I mean, you mentioned the short game. He's one of the best scramblers in this field, one of the best chippers in this field out of thick rough, one of the best bunker players in this field, one of the best overall approach players in this field. He keeps the ball in play off the tee. He's playing great. He just gained over 4 strokes on approach at Valhalla. So Russell Henley, I will echo your sentiments that I think it's a big week for Russell Henley at Memorial.
Awesome. I absolutely hope so. I'm gonna go back to the outright winner market one more time, and I'm gonna go after Shane Lowry, who is 75-1. I mean, he's a major champion, so we know he can compete against a loaded field. In fact, he always seems to elevate his game against tougher competition. That's why he usually performs better in majors than he does at like more random tournaments that aren't elevated events or anything like that. But he's in good form right now. He just won the Zurich Classic with Rory as his partner, and he also finished sixth at the PGA Championship. Valhalla was another Jack Nicklaus design, and obviously he's also a designer of Muirfield. So he's had success on Nicklaus course designs, and this one as well, considering they finished sixth in 2021 and 16th here last year. So with the good form, good course experience, and the ability to compete against very talented fields, I really like Lowry this week at 75-1.
I have Lowry on here as well. Oh no, he just missed my card. I was thinking about him for first round later. But I'm glad you covered him because I'm a huge fan of Lowry as well. I'll take us back to the outright market, and go with Matt Fitzpatrick 50-1. I just think Matt Fitzpatrick is a former US Open winner. He's got 2 top 10s at the Memorial. I know he's been up and down this season. I still think that he's the type of player that is always viable to win a big time event on a long and difficult golf course. Anytime you're getting Matt Fitzpatrick at over 50-1 on one of these types of golf courses, right? Your Country Club of Brooklines, your Southern Hills, your Muirfield Villages, your Bay Hills, like these are the types of golf courses where Fitzpatrick plays his best golf, mainly because he's such a good scrambler. He just seems to raise his baseline in tougher conditions. And it should not come as a surprise. He's finished third at Memorial in 2020, the year it got really tough. He also finished ninth at the Memorial last year. He always drives the ball really well at this golf course. He's gained over 3 strokes off the tee in his last 3 appearances at the Memorial. So I just think you're getting a class pedigree player at over 50-1 on a phenomenal golf course for him. That's a bet I'm going to make 7 days a week.
Absolutely. I love that number. I'm gonna go to the top five market. A little bit of a dart throw here. I'm gonna go after Keegan Bradley, who's 11-1, or oh, yeah, 11-1. Bradley's in fantastic form. He's made the weekend in 5 consecutive tournaments. He's fresh off a second place finish at the Charles Schwab Challenge, and I think another top five finish could be in store this week. At least it's worth taking a shot at with this price of 11-1. Bradley has gained true total strokes in 3 consecutive tournaments as his game has been impressive pretty much all around. The putter was on fire at the Charles Schwab. His approach game has been great all season. That's never really a concern for him. But right now, he's really just bombing the hell out of the ball off the tee. But he's also maintaining his accuracy while doing so. I don't really know what's different with his driver right now, but it's really picked up recently. So he's just kind of rounding to form at the right time as he starts near President's Cup season, a list that he's currently 10th on, and we know how much he wants to be a part of it. And I think he will continue to play his way onto the team, including another top five performance this week.
I have one more outright that I'm going to rip, and before we get into some other markets, I'm going to go with Will Zalatoris 75-1, enhanced on Bet365. Just think that's an incredibly disrespectful number. I think very similar to Matt Fitzpatrick. Anytime you get Will Zalatoris on a long and difficult golf course that emphasizes total driving and long iron play over 50-1, you bet it. I mean, he has finished fifth at the Memorial in his debut performance. He has that Country Club of Brookline connection with Matt Fitzpatrick that I mentioned earlier. Just a lot of strong performances on these Bay Hill, Riviera, Augusta, these long, difficult golf courses that emphasize long iron play, back grass greens. Like this is just such a perfect golf course for Zalatoris. He's playing a lot better than his results would suggest. I mean, he gained over 3.5 strokes on approach at the PGA Championship. I cannot understand for the life of me why he is 75-1 this week, but one of my favorite bets on the board. Just an absolutely disrespectful number, in my opinion.
Absolutely. That was I was looking at that exact bet in preparation for this podcast as well. I was kind of 50-50 on it, but I think you swayed me. I'm going to tell you on that as well. But I'm going to go to the top 10 market. I'm going to go after Denny McCarthy, who's paying out 5-1 to finish inside the top 10. He's finished fifth or better in each of his past two appearances at Muirfield. So just following the trends, I love this number at 5-1 for him to do it for the third straight year. He's one of the best putters on tour, so it makes sense that he's fared so well at this venue in the sense that I mentioned scrambling earlier, and obviously you got to finish off the up and down. And I trust Danny McCarthy do that just as much as anyone else. He ranks third in scrambling percentage this year on tour. And he's also in great form. He's got 7 top 10 finishes over his past 23 tournaments, which again is great for a 5-1 return. So that's where I'm going to go for the top 10 market, Denny McCarthy.
I'll stick in the top 10 market for us as well. I've got one more top 10 play and then a couple of top 20s and first round leaders. I'm going to go with Viktor Hovland plus 165 top 20. Still considering throwing an outright on him. The 3 outrights I have are 50, 55, and 75. So I've got some room for a big gun at the top, and Victor may be the direction that I go. I'm going to roll with a top 10 for now. But man, I loved what I saw at Valhalla. He hit the ball so well. Speaking to people close to the Joe Mayo situation, I mean, Victor is fully back. And I expect him to win a golf tournament very soon. I don't know if it's going to be this week. It might be next week at the US Open. I actually think this is a way better golf course for him than Pinehurst, because I like Viktor Hovland on golf courses where he's chipping often out of thick rough. Pinehurst is a lot more short grass and creativity around the greens. But I mean, you look at Muirfield Village. I mean, think about all the golf courses that Hovland's had his best around the green performances. It's Oak Hill, it's Valhalla, it's Muirfield Village, it's Olympia Fields, it's Bay Hill. Like these golf courses with thicker rough, Hovland is able to slide the club under and able to use a little bit of a different chipping technique that he's more comfortable with. The ball striking was off the charts at Muirfield Village. Obviously, he is a former winner and defending champion. I don't always like to go in the direction of defending champions, but I think he is hungry as ever to start playing great golf again and announce himself as one of the best players in the world. I think it's coming very soon. If it's not this week, it's in the next couple, and I would be fairly surprised if he doesn't at least play a major factor on this leaderboard.
I 100% agree with you. I think he's absolutely, if it's not this week, it will be soon. He is back. I'm gonna go in the top 10 market. I'm gonna go Jackson Koivun, which is 13-1. So Data Golf has Koivun as the top amateur in the world based on their rankings, but he definitely has the accolades to back it up. So he's a freshman over at Auburn. He's the first golfer to ever sweep the 3 National Player of the Year awards, which is the Haskins, the Hogan, and the Nicklaus, while also winning the Mickelson Outstanding Freshman Award in the same season. To put that in perspective, listen to these names: Ludwig Oberg, Sahith Theegala, Sam Burns, John Rahm, JT, Patrick Cantlay. Those are all Nicklaus Award winners who did not accomplish the feat that Koivun just did. He's finished inside the top 6 in 12 of his 13 tournaments in college this year, and he's averaging below 70 strokes per round. A huge prospect. Obviously, he's a young guy. He could absolutely fold with the level of competition he's going to face this week. But I've seen crazier things in golf. Oberg came over after college and was succeeded right away. Obviously, Koivun's still an amateur, but I think he could make some noise. And at 13-1, I think there are worse dart throws to make this week than for him to finish inside the top 10.
Yeah, I love that play. You're not the first person to mention Koivun. I've heard his name a bit this week. It seems like the kid really has some game. I'm going to go with a top 20 on Siwoo Kim plus 130. Siwoo Kim has just been a machine in the top 20 market all year. He's had a ton of great finishes. He's actually finished top 20 at Memorial 4 starts in a row. He's playing some great golf right now. The ball striking's been unbelievable. I think one of the reasons why I like Siwoo so much at this golf course is he's a really accurate driver of the ball, great total driver of the ball. He gains strokes off the tee with his accuracy, which I think is very important at Muirfield. He's a great overall long iron player. He's got a sneaky, great short game as well. Great bunker player, great scrambler. Obviously, his biggest bugaboo is the putting. I think putting is largely devalued at this golf course. Just think it's a really good spot for Siwoo. I mean, I would even maybe go a little bit more ambitious with it on a top 10. He just hasn't done a lot of contending this year. I think he's such a safe bet to play well. And I think the best way to do that in a 70-person field is bet him at plus money in the top 20 market. So plus 130, Siwoo Kim, top 20 this week.
Yeah, he's always one of my favorite like high floor golfers to back. I'm gonna head to the first round leader market, and as always, I'm waiting to actually lock these in until tee times are announced. So keep an eye out for my first round leader article here this week at the Action Network. But with that said, as long as these guys aren't among the last groups out, then this is the direction I'm heading. And I'm starting with Rory McIlroy. Rory's in great form. He's got 2 wins over his past 4 tournaments. The other 2 non-wins were both top 12 finishes. Every club is seemingly working in his bag right now. He's obviously still bombing off the tee. That never left. But his irons, wedges, and putter are also hot entering this week. He's gained true total strokes putting around the green, on the approach, and off the tee in 3 consecutive tournaments. He's also almost always excelled at Muirfield. He boasts 8 top 18 finishes over 12 career appearances at this venue. He's never won here, though, and so it's kind of why I prefer him more in the first round leader market, at least at a price of 18-1, which is a lot bigger than his outright winner number this week.
I'm going to go with another first round leader. He's 20-1 in the first round leader market. Collin Morikawa, not a big shock to anyone this week. I think all of his ducks are in a row. He's probably going to be one of the most popular players in the field this week in daily fantasy and the betting markets. I've already seen his number go down in the betting markets. I'm not breaking any news that this is a good spot with Collin at Muirfield. It's the perfect intersection of recent form and course history, right? Collin is playing great. He contended at both the first 2 major championships, also finished top 5 at Colonial, and he's been phenomenal at this golf course. He's also been an incredible first round player this season. So he ranks second in this entire field in strokes gained in the first round. He's gotten off to some good starts this season. He's had some good round ones, surprisingly. I don't know if he's ever cashed a first round leader bet this year, maybe though, but I think at 20-1 in the first round leader market, I actually do like that bet more than the 14 I'm seeing now in the outright market. I think it's a good way to get some exposure to Collin this week. I think he gets off to a great start this week at Muirfield Village.
Well, I really love that because that was literally my next play was Morikawa, first round leader. And it's actually crazy because you're right, the number is going down. So I typed my outline or whatever this morning, and I had him at 25-1 at that time. So that means he's already dropped $5 in that market, which is pretty crazy. But I don't want to reiterate everything you just said, but the course history is great. He won when this course hosted the Workday Charity Open in 2020 when it was serving as an alternate for the John Deere Classic during COVID. He also finished runner-up in this specific tournament in 2021, so no issue with course history. He's also in great form, 8 straight weekend appearances, 4 top 10 finishes over that stretch. Clearly possesses the talent. He has not closed out a tournament in quite some time. At last year's Zozo, I think, was the last time he won one, and that was against a much weaker field than we'll face this week. So kind of why I prefer him in the first-round leader market this week, and that is where I went as well.
I'm going to stick in the first round later market and go with the player we haven't mentioned yet. Patrick Cantlay, 28-1. I know he hasn't been playing his best golf this season. This has obviously been a phenomenal golf course for him. He's been another player like Morikawa, like Rory, that is towards the top 5 in this field in strokes gained in round ones over the last couple of years. In fact, the problem with Cantlay has been has particularly this year, really fallen off over the weekend. He's gotten off to some really hot starts this year at tournaments like Torrey Pines and the American Express, even Riviera, and kind of fallen off over the weekend. I think Cantlay is going to play well this week. I don't think that he's playing as poorly as his results would suggest, and this is obviously a comfortable spot for him over the years. But I think first round leader is a great market to utilize him because you're getting a player that has been phenomenal at this golf course, that plays great in round ones, that always shows up ready to go on Thursdays. And if you don't trust the state of his game right now to win a 4-day tournament, I think first round later market's a great way to deploy Patrick Cantlay this week at 28-1, a healthier number certainly than I'm seeing him across the board like 20, 22-1 in most betting markets as well.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. You're in a good buy low price at 28 to 1, especially for a guy of that caliber. My final first round leader play is going to be Tommy Fleetwood at 40 to 1. He's usually one of my favorite golfers back in the first round leader market. For some reason, dude just can't win on tour, but he is still undoubtedly one of the best golfers in the world and naturally one of the better golfers in this field, which makes me like the price of 40 to 1 so much, especially on a Thursday where I trust him a little bit more than on a Sunday. He enters this week in great form. He's made the week in 7 consecutive tournaments, three top 15 finishes over that stretch. That run includes a third place finish at Augusta, so it proves that he can compete against such a loaded field with this much talent. And I think this success is likely to continue at Muirfield, given that Fleetwood ranks 6th on tour this season in scrambling percentage, which I talked about was such an important indicator of success at Muirfield. So that is my final play this week.
I'm going to close us out with a bit more of a long shot in the top 20 market. I'm going to go with Austin Eckroat plus 280, top 20. I think it's a great number. I think good bounce back spot for Eckroat. He finished 30th on debut, gained strokes in all four major categories, actually fell down the leaderboard quite a bit with a Sunday 77. He was right there in the mix at that tournament as a debutant, which is not easy to do at Muirfield Village. It's a course course history is heavily correlated. So a really strong opening performance at Eckroat. And I think it makes sense that this place would be a very good fit for him over the years. I mean, he's a very accurate driver of the ball. He's a great long iron player. He's a great bent grass putter. He just played well at Valhalla on debut as well. So I'm going to go with Austin Eckroat plus 280, top 20 to finish us off. And that'll do it for our best bets episode of Links and Locks for the Memorial. Before we get out of here, a final reminder that the Links and Locks podcast is presented by Bet365. Bet365 doesn't do ordinary. That's why you get more boosts with them than with anyone else. Every day they power up the odds on hundreds of bets to give you a chance to win more. Bet365 boosts specific markets, your winnings, and even parlays, and they don't stop there. Keep an eye out for their biggest and best odds with the incredible Super Boost. Check out the boost and see why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 or older and present in Arizona, Colorado, Indiana, Iowa, Louisiana, North Carolina, New Jersey, Ohio, Virginia, or 18 and older in Kentucky. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER or 1-800-BETS-OFF. In Iowa, terms, conditions, and restrictions apply. As a reminder, our action experts, Spencer Aguiar and Nick Bretwish, return with host Roberto Arguello tomorrow for our Memorial betting preview right here on the Links and Locks podcast over Tony Sartori. I'm your host, Andy Lack, and we will see you back here next week on the Links and Locks podcast presented by Bet365.